our our final community of practice for the year is today. So we are very excited to have you all, and we can go on to the next slide. So today is our Youth Voices program. Yay, we're very excited. We're going to have some youth here in person and also virtually, and we'll talk about tools to support youth programs at County Office of Education. We really wanted to focus on actual youth this time because in previous communities of practice, we have discussed some of the programs that some of us have at our county offices of education. And so this time we really wanted to bring in the youth. We'll also talk about community-based youth programs, and we'll have some breakout rooms. There'll be time for you all to network and talk with each other. And so it's going to be a great meeting. All right. Our land acknowledgement today. I'm actually taking over for someone else, so I'm not quite sure where this land acknowledgement came from. I always like to credit them. But this land acknowledgement, um, I'm just going to go ahead and read it here. So the land acknowledgement was never meant to end there. It is an introduction. Anyone can acknowledge whose land you are on and weave in what that means to the specific event or programming you are conducting. This acknowledgement calls on all of us to end Indigenous erasure and engage with Native people in meaningful ways. So, not just mentioning land acknowledgements, but also making sure that we are engaging with those populations that are in our county and making those voices heard and acknowledging the erasure that's happened over time. So I am currently coming to you from Ramaytush Ohlone land in the San Francisco Bay Area. Next slide. Okay, we want to do a little connection activities. We're going to share in the chat rather than going into breakout rooms. So if you search Emoji Kitchen in your web browser, and I think we're going there right now. Thank you so much. And then click on Get Cooking. Then you can find an emoji. Hold on, I actually have to look at the instructions because like I said, I'm doing this for someone who wasn't able to be here. So let me go ahead and look at that. So choose the two emojis that you want to mix to represent how you feel today. And then you can share those new emojis in the chat. So in other words, Emoji Kitchen, it's not really cooking, it just takes emojis and it puts them together. So I'll stop talking. I'll give you just a minute to do that.
Oh no, it says JPEGs are restricted in the chat.
Oh,
Oh, that didn't happen before when we did it.
oh,
Darn it.
shoot, sad. Okay, well, if you can't put in an Emoji Kitchen emoji, you can put in some other kind of emoji just for how you're feeling today, or feel free to just tell us how you're feeling today here in the chat so that we can make sure we hear from everybody. So, lots of choices of things to do here today. Technology is great when it works.
Yes.
And if you're just joining us, we were trying this Emoji Kitchen connection activity. Apparently, it's not quite working the way we want to. So just find an emoji that matches you. You can put it in the chat or just tell us about how you are feeling. All right, here they come. Oh, that was a good way to do it, Sylvie. Leave it to the youth to figure out how to put the two emojis together. All right, Fanny's ready to party. Awesome. Fanny's our new Green Facilities and Operations Analyst, everybody. So welcome, Fanny. Oh no, Aaron. I can relate to that one. Love it. Maria, Bessie. Crystal, you're so lucky to have those sunflowers in San Diego. Rodrigo's feeling happy. Wow, Beth. Looks like Beth's got some crazy times going on. Jose, love the hibiscus you got going there. Tracy, yours is really cute. Okay, wonderful. All right, well, it's fun to see those. And yes, Beth, you're here. That's what counts. Absolutely. We're so happy that we're here. Hopefully, we can bring a little peacefulness into you for today, into your life. And yeah, Shelly, California Poppy, fantastic. Yes, thanks for being flexible. Okay. I have no idea when I'm stopping in the slides, so I'll just keep going, shall I? All right, here we go. So, Callie, if you're here for the first time, this is the California Environmental Literacy Initiative Community of Practice. We are really focusing on county offices of education here. So, county office of education staff um, at any level and any department are always welcome. This initiative is led by 10 Strands. They work statewide to change the education system to support environmental literacy and also, I'll say, sustainability with a focus on equity, inclusion, and cultural relevance for all students. So this is our collective network, and we hope that you will leave this meeting feeling inspired and feeling like you're not alone, because sometimes this work can be isolating when you're the only one in your county office who is championing it. So that's our hope for today. The members of the Cali Innovation Hub. So the purpose of that is to provide backbone support for environmental literacy, sustainability, and climate resilient efforts. So there are some of us who are helping to facilitate these meetings and put these meetings together, and we are always open to feedback, of course, on how to make them better. And you can see in the map where we have in the dark orange, someone who is a dedicated staff member to environmental literacy. The orange is on the way with people who are not necessarily dedicated, but they are infusing it into their job description, might be STEM coordinators, things like that. And then the white is where we're still working on it. So our COP objectives is to make sure that we are always sharing resources and innovative practices because we really want to build the capacity of county offices of education to be that support in their region, to be able to support outdoor learning experiences for students, working with school districts, teachers, community-based partners. Our work is very multifaceted. And we definitely want to center the most vulnerable and marginalized communities. We also try to help with the implementation of district-wide plans that include those experiences for students of all grade levels, again, emphasizing equity. And we've created a lot of frameworks that integrate environmental literacy and sustainability, as well as, we have the statewide framework. So Cali has their toolkits that really help to do this. And the last one is making sure that we're infusing sustainability principles into the COE core operations. So in an ideal world, getting it into those strategic plans for every county office. Next slide. Okay, so today is our youth session, as you all know. And like we said before, we really wanted to center the voices of actual youth. So I'm going to turn it over to Amity, and she is going to tell us about our first youth champion.
Thank you, Julie. Amazing job jumping in there um, to substitute. And I'm thrilled to have one of our Santa Cruz County. I'm Amity Sandage from Santa Cruz County Office of Education, the Environmental Literacy Coordinator at our COE. And we convene student leadership groups from high schools across our county. And the first of that those groups was Youth for Environmental Action, which launched 5 years ago. And I'm thrilled that we have one of our current members, Sylvie, here with us for the meeting to share some of the work that Youth for Environmental Action is focusing on. Sylvie has been a part of since her freshman year. Very bravely jumped into a group that was already in progress and has stuck with it and really become an amazing leader, youth leader in our county. Um, and I have shared about Youth for Environmental Action in these communities of practice before, in particularly about what a superpower our youth leadership group has been in terms of um, leveraging youth voice for change with our district leaders um, and so we wanted to give Sylvie time to share some of how they're trying to use their voice. And there's time for questions too. So I will hand it over to Sylvie. Thank you for being here, Sylvie.
Hi everyone. Hold on, is this on? I'm connected through headphones. Are people able to hear me? Cool. All
You
right,
sound great.
awesome. So what I wanted to focus on today was the survey for school sustainability that Youth for Environmental Action uses to gather data. And I'm going to focus on our survey results from last school year. So about the survey, each year it's sent out to staff and students in Santa Cruz County, and it's used to measure perspectives on the individual campus and what the students and staff want to see for greater sustainability. So if we could go to that next slide. So from student response, 95% of our respondents were students, which is really great. We can get a direct voice from them. 40% felt that their school was doing enough to promote sustainability on campus. However, the remaining 60% either clicked that they did not or they weren't sure. So 39% of students reported that some aspect of their health, whether that's mental, emotional, physical, or both, was impacted by climate change. And if we could go on to the next slide, please. One thing we saw was very high concern levels from students. 91% of all responses indicated some level of concern, from slightly to extremely. Only 9% of responses chose that they felt no concern about the future regarding climate change, but we have 83% of students feeling over a moderate concern for climate change. And these are really high numbers, which we could use to see that students are interested and engaged in this topic, and that there is room for improvement, definitely. And if we could go on to the next slide. Speaking of improvement, Clean Campus was an overwhelming majority, with 72% of respondents choosing that that was what they wanted to see be improved. So there is a clear interest in bettering their campuses, but there is a current lack of these desired practices. There's at the desired levels to reduce an individual carbon footprint. Both staff and students chose improving school campus as the focal for what they wanted to see. And if you could go to the next slide, we are able to use this data to find our yearly project. So looking at these survey results, since Clean Campuses was the focus, our 2024 and 2025 goal was to create what we called the Trash Pact Project. We wanted to help initiate changes in waste management at the high school levels. So we did this through waste audits, which is measuring the current streams of waste at the schools. It was conducted at Aptos High School, San Lorenzo Valley, and Soquel High School. So there was a huge lack of correct management as well as access, especially on Aptos, which is the school I go to. Students didn't even know there was a compost bin on campus, and there is just so much food waste that is being found in the trash. The data that we found showed about 6.9 uneaten pounds of food. And there is such a need for improved systems, but this just is not happening currently, which is what we at YEA want to show to administrators, that students are clearly interested in this topic and that there is a need for it. Now we have the background data, which we actually just presented. We had our annual summit on Monday, and we were able to share this data from the waste audits with superintendents from 3 different districts. So hopefully we can see more change generated, because it is such a crucial aspect that's happening, and it's something that could be easily changed to be more effective for sustainability. However, like I said before, this is not happening, and often students are not given the access to change these systems. There is a huge gap right now between administrators and students. So at YEA, we are hoping to sort of bridge this gap, because through united action, that's when we're able to see change happen. And that was all I had on the survey. So thank you for listening.
Thank you for sharing, Sylvie. Did anybody have any questions for Sylvie? And it's fine too if you have more background questions on, it doesn't have to be about the data. It can be about how YEA works or anything like that.
I actually have a question, Sylvie. I'm curious just how you gathered the survey data. Like, did it go out through a newsletter or a Google form, or how did you gather the data?
Yeah, so what it's through a Google form, and we send it to the office staff, usually to principals or vice principals at each school in Santa Cruz County, specifically the high schools. And we have gotten an increase in responses, which is great, but it is up to the school to administer it. So that is where we find our biggest challenge with getting results, since YEA currently has members at 4 different high schools, but it's a smaller group this year. So it is through Google Form, and we're hoping to get it more mainstream through social media. Actually, we have created an Instagram for the team.
Terrific. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm putting in the chat on YEA's website, there is a link to our COE data person has helped take some of their survey data and put it into a dashboard. So you can look at the past 2 years of data and disaggregate it by school. Students can access it. They can look at just their school's data. They can look at the different individual questions and also look at it as countywide data. So that's been exciting to have. Any other questions? Stephanie's raised a hand.
Yeah, cool. Hi. Um, Wanted to know if any of the schools you did waste audits at are Green School certified, and are they open campus for lunch, or do students stay on campus?
For Aptos, I know we are supposed to be a closed campus, and we were in the process of getting Green School certified, but that did not end up going through. I'm not sure about SLV. I believe they might be. And
None of the high schools are green certified yet.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. And all of them are closed campus except for SoCal.
Actually, I had one more question for you. This data is so amazing. And I heard you say that you presented it at your summit, maybe that you had on Monday. You had something on Monday. So is the district leadership going to see this data and what are the other ways you plan to share it out?
Yeah, so it was at our summit, and there we were able to share it with three superintendents who were in the audience from PVUSD, the County Office of Education, and Santa Cruz City Schools. YEA as a group is scheduled to present to the County Office of Education at a board meeting, just the group as a whole, and we most likely will be using the waste audit data there. However, at individual school districts, I'm not sure the plan there, but at the county level, yes, they will likely be seeing this.
Sylvie, is it all right if I share the presentation you and Mason put together for the summit? Like I have access and I can put a view only link in the chat if that's okay. Then
Yeah, that would be fun.
okay. Then so Sylvie and Mason from San Lorenzo Valley High were the ones who presented the group's data, and the slides they put together have really great summary of the waste audit results and how they presented it, and to the superintendents were there for that. It was very fruitful.
Well, and I'm seeing a question in the chat. So about what high schoolers have for some hope, I don't believe there's a specific question in the survey, but there is a space where students can share individual comments. And usually, when students have that sense of hope, there is more access on their campus to either green space or classes that talk about the environment. It's a really big issue, especially with the whole emotional side to it, because it's really overwhelming, especially for students, to think about the future with all these changes, especially at the federal level to environmentalism. But we are just at YEA hoping that people can see that they can take change and initiate it within their communities, which that summit I mentioned earlier is kind of the goal of that, so that students can see direct change being made by students their age.
Yeah, and I can piggyback a little bit on that too, about the hope, because Mason's district saw a really huge, dramatic increase in hope in their data set when they did a district analysis after all of their teachers had environmental literacy professional learning and were asked to integrate environment, either outdoor learning or environmental literacy integration into their content area. This is all secondary teachers, all content areas, and the results on the survey jumped by like 36 percentage points, and extremely hopeful and very hopeful became new categories that hadn't been there before. It was very dramatic. Any last ones? I want to make sure we have time for call-ins as well. So I'll turn it over to Julie in a moment. Just thank you so much, Sylvie, for sharing. And so proud of all the work that you're doing. And I will see you soon.
Thank you, everyone, for having me.
Class.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, well, that was amazing and so impressive. So, kudos both to Sylvie and also to Amity, who leads that work with YEA. And I just want to echo a couple of things. Because we have a youth climate ambassadors program here in our county, and I just cannot echo enough how important the youth voice is for making change in the districts. By and large, where we have had much bigger changes happen has been in our high school districts. And the reason for that is not only because of the youth voice, but most definitely it has made a huge difference. So the ability of the high schoolers to be able to put together data like this and then eloquently present is really, really powerful for the administrators. So I just want to echo what Andy said and also just kudos again for that whole presentation. The one other thing I wanted to say is it's very interesting to me that youth will always focus in, number one, on waste. That is always their number one concern. And it's because they can see that. Like it's a very clear, obvious environmental issue at their school when they can see that people are either not sorting the trash correctly or there's trash on the campus or there's food being wasted. That is something that's very, very visible. So it's a great way to initially get students involved is with that particular issue. Obviously, there are other issues that are super important, like electrifying a campus, but electrifying a campus is kind of invisible and harder to see unless you have solar panels that are really visible. And so, that's a super important issue, but a great entry issue is waste for sure. All right. So I want to move along to Colin Chu. So Colin is a super champion in our county. He's a student at the Nueva School in Hillsborough. He was not able to be here today, but he did put together a video that we're going to show you. He was this year's recipient of the Sustainable San Mateo County Youth Awards. So we have a wonderful nonprofit in our county that's called Sustainable San Mateo County, and every year they put together awards. And I just want to quickly show you here. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Crystal is. So, Crystal, would you mind just clicking on that Sustainable San Mateo County Award there? Okay, so this will tell you a little bit more about Colin and some of the amazing things that he's done. And if you're interested in seeing any of the other award winners in the county, you can just go to the programs there and look at those. But let's go ahead and go back then to the video, which I think if you click on the picture, it'll take us to the video. Okay. So Colin, this is about a 6.5 minute video, and Colin's just going to talk to you about how the different youth programs have influenced him and some of the amazing things that he's doing. So here we go.
Hi everyone, my name is Colin Chu, and I'm so excited to share a little bit more about myself with all of you today, and specifically my interests regarding environmental advocacy, and how I've felt so supported and connected based off of the resources, adults, and just the different communities that I've been a part of. So I guess start off to share a little bit more about how I've been engaged in environmental advocacy. This kind of started with the Youth Climate Ambassadors program through the San Mateo County Office of Sustainability. I was able and fortunate enough to be able to meet so many peers from diverse parts of the county and learn more about why they became interested in the environment, and that was actually one of the turning points for me in terms of realizing the interconnectedness of the issues regarding climate change and how, for example, the issues regarding food insecurity are so tightly tied to homelessness, which is also very connected to broader racial and social inequities. So that kind of prompted me to begin an organization called Homeless Heroes. I started that basically to, like I mentioned, to try to address the interconnected aspects of environmental and social justice. And we deliver food from local schools from across the county. Now we're expanding as well to food banks and homeless shelters. So that has been a really amazing way for me to kind of give back to my community, but also realize the potential of different actors, different stakeholders coming together to meet multiple different needs. Within the county, I'm also a commissioner on the San Mateo County Youth Commission. I specifically serve on the Environmental Justice Subcommittee, and actually, right now we are working on a project, an event, to bring youth from underrepresented areas of the county, including North Fair Oaks, to some of the the parks in the county, because we believe that it's so meaningful and important that all people have access to these parks, as well as environmental education and learning more about potential careers through public service. I also, in the, for the entire state, but also through a way that I could meet other students in the county, I completed the California Youth Climate Policy Leadership Program this past fall. And that was a really amazing experience because I was able to expand my personal awareness of what policy meant. Previously, a lot of my policy advocacy surrounded bills and legislation, but I also understood that policy can also happen at the local level, even at the school level. So that was a really eye-opening experience as well. Before I kind of jump into how I feel I've grown so much because of the resources and the people around me, I think it's also worth mentioning that I have been engaged with environmental advocacy at the national level as well. Specifically, I am the co-chair of the United States Youth Action Council to the United Nations Ocean Decade. So we specifically are a cohort of about 50 students from across the country. And every year we go to DC to advocate for ocean-related sustainability policies, or this year we are actually doing appropriations advocacy. So we're advocating and lobbying for specific funding for agencies and departments across the board, whether that's the EPA or NASA. So that's kind of what we've been focused on. We also have other committees as well, such as the Movement Working Group Committee, as well as the Education Working Group Committee, and they're both working on their respective projects. I think Movement is working on creating a project to raise more awareness about plastic pollution, and then Education is actually writing a children's book about the importance of climate change and realizing how we can come together as a community and as a country to fight it. And kind of this is more specific now to the audience that I'm speaking to, but I think what helped motivate me towards environmental action and climate awareness was really the adults as well as the peers around me who kind of allowed me to realize how it was such a big part of my everyday life. Like I mentioned, specifically through the YCA program, I really learned that climate advocacy is not just climate advocacy, but it's also social advocacy as well. So I think that, as broadly speaking, it's really important in terms of motivating youth to get engaged with climate advocacy that educators and community leaders emphasize the interconnectedness of all these issues. I also think that something that drove me was the opportunity to meet other students throughout the county. I attend a private school, so I often think of myself as kind of learning and living in a bubble. So I was really excited for the opportunity to meet other students. So I think kind of those two things have been absolutely impactful for my climate journey. And I'm, something that I'm looking forward to, looking towards the future, is how I can continue to expand what I'm doing just beyond the county. And I understand that a lot of youth are kind of motivated by the big picture, but when they realize that things can start small and then grow big, I think that can also help them reach their potential. So I know I kind of went over everything really quickly, but I hope that provides some insights into who I am, as well as kind of how I got started. And I'm sure Julie can also share my contact info with you if you have any questions or would like to follow up afterwards as well. Thank you.
Okay, yay, Colin. And on that note, Colin's email is right there in the slides. So, obviously we don't have Colin here to answer questions, but just a couple of things that he said that I thought was really, really insightful is the fact that being able to learn about how environmental and social issues are connected was very impactful for him. And I think that's so important just for educators, knowing that these things that we're all experiencing that are, climate emergencies, they are also social issues and they have a lot of social ramifications. So I thought that was really telling. And then the other thing he talked about was the opportunity to meet other students in the county. So even if you are in a county office and you don't have a youth program, even just starting small and bringing youth together for an hour or an hour and a half, and then building up to maybe larger programs is a great way to just kind of get your feet wet and start with these youth programs and just, what we try to do is advertise mostly to the areas of the county, like he mentioned North Fair Oaks, for example. So that's an area in Redwood City that is a more marginalized area and a lower socioeconomic area. So we try to reach out to the schools that are in those more have those more vulnerable populations and do most of our outreach for our youth programs. We do stronger outreach there. Not that we don't do outreach all over the county, but we are very conscious of those things. So yeah, so again, just offering opportunities for students to meet each other. Um, Colin is like, like I said, he's a super champion. He's like kind of off the rails when it comes to the youth in the county, but there are a lot of youth who are just interested in this kind of thing and they really like to engage with each other on these topics. So I think that's all I wanted to say. So any comments or questions about what you heard? Okay. So I think that I am going to now turn it over to Crystal, and I think we're doing well on our timing, by the way, everybody. We're a little bit
Yeah.
ahead right now.
All right, so I'm just going to introduce you to some tools and to then we'll have some programs that are going to do some quick intros here, and then we'll get a chance to go into breakout rooms and talk about programs and talk about the tools that you hear about. So everybody will get some time to have those conversations. And Amity and Julie will be around if you want to ask more about their youth programs and how they've created such amazing inspiration for the kids that you just got to hear from. So this is a giant list, and I did put the slides in the slide deck so that you have access to them. But we really just wanted to you to see that your county office doesn't have to start from scratch if you're trying to do work, and you don't have to develop your own youth programs all the time. We really want you to see that there are other things that you can do to connect. I know in my county in San Diego, I lean on some of our amazing community-based programs, of which you'll hear one today, to really lead the youth work because I just don't have time in the allotment that I'm given to do that, even though I know how important it is. And so we know that that's how it is with a lot of your county and a lot of your work, especially if you're squeezing environmental literacy into your lens and it's not necessarily your whole role. So these first couple, we have the Green Team Guide from San Mateo that really helps you think about how do you help kids with their green teams at school. This is something you might share with teachers, share with districts, and even share with students who want to try to get their green team up and running at their school. Similarly, we have the Eco Club Do-It-Yourself Handbook. So that's a Youth for Climate group that's here in San Diego. They have the same idea, really, how do we help roadmap? How do we help get some ideas for making this work? So those are two really similar supports or tools. We have the Youth Media Challenge from KQED, a really great way to inspire kids to start thinking about their own impact and what they can do to change the world. So this is a great challenge that you might share with teachers as a way for them to start getting students connected. We have some videos from 10 Strands of our Climate Action Youth and their voices that you can see here from Climate Resilient Youth that you might use to inspire, again, teachers to start taking this on with their kids, or for you to think about how you could even inspire your community-based partners to start doing this work. San Mateo has a boatload of youth resources and internships. And so these are linked here that you could go through. Again, you could share them with community programs, you could share them with teachers, you could share them with partners, and try to help get those programs moving, helps students realize the opportunities that they have. Sometimes they just don't know where to start. And sometimes our teachers don't know where to direct our kids to do this work. And there's a link here to the California Youth Climate Policy Leadership Program, which Colin referenced as something that he's done, and Paulina is going to talk about. So I'm not going to even click on that one for now. But those tools are there to support you. And we have some quick intros that we're going to have from our community-based youth programs. And so if Jose, I think you're here from Watsonville. Did you just want to give quick intros? I'll pop through these slides for you.
Yeah, I'm Jose. I'm Education Outreach Specialist for Watsonville Wetlands Watch, and we have 4 slides here. We're a nonprofit located in Watsonville in the Santa Cruz County. We preserve, restore, and educate folks on the local wetlands of Watsonville. And we have 4 youth-based programs that we'd like to share with you about. Quick up, I have my fellow Education Specialist Rodrigo, who will give you a bite-sized taste of what the Wetland Stewards is about.
Hi, I'm Rodrigo Garcia, Education Specialist for Watsonville Wetlands Watch. I'm the lead with our Wetland Stewards program. Within our Wetland Stewards program, we have 12 high school interns who interview to be a part of our program. And then we teach them to be educators about the wetlands. And then we take them to elementary and middle schools where they get groups of kids to do those lessons for. So it's a really good way to connect them to nature, not just through us, but through the youth. And then we're teaching them how to be leaders in the future too.
The next one is the Climate Core Leadership Institute program. We have interns from 3 high schools in Watsonville, and we alternate education restoration weeks throughout the school year. So if they're with us, they learn something, an environmental topic on climate issues on one day, and the following week we interact with that. So maybe they're learning about the benefits of trees and then the canopy cover inequity, and the next week they're planting trees.
For our Wetland Wonders program, that's a little bit different. So that is, we work with 5th grade classrooms here in the PVUSD district. And it's pretty much an introduction to our wetlands, where our main goal is to get kids out into nature, to appreciate it and to understand that these are their spaces. So our Wetland Wonders is a really good introduction to a lot of environmental programs.
And then we have the Project Tierra. It's a community science-based program where they monitor the health of the local wetlands. And we work closely with the high school teachers from Powell Valley High School, where we're located at. So we work with the biology and the chemistry teachers. They look at the aquatic macroinvertebrates in the water. They look at the water quality. They do some testing. And then they do some data analysis, and they tell us what the water quality is. And if you want to hear more about that, join us in our break rooms.
Thanks, Jose. Pauline?
Hey everybody, I'm Paulina. I am the program manager for 10 Strands' CYCP program. That also stands for California Youth Climate Policy Leadership Program. It's a knowledge to action program that supports youth 9th through 12th grade in high school to lead advocacy campaigns to pass policy actions or even build on existing ones within their school districts or specific schools. And they receive adult coaches that mentor them throughout the program, and it's all throughout California and completely virtual. We are in partnership with Undaunted K-12 and the Sierra Club as well, and it's a really cool opportunity for students to get to network, learn from one another, and we are running our third cohort. Starting in July this year, which is very exciting, and applications are due May 27th, and I'm happy to share more about that in my breakout room.
Thanks, Paulina. And Sam?
I'm coming. There we are. Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Sam Wins, Executive Director of the Ecologic Institute. Quick backstory. I'm actually a conservation biologist by trade and science educator in partnership with Cabrillo National Monument and the National Park Service here in San Diego, California. We've actually started to expand out into other public lands like Balboa Park, in San Diego to River Park around San Diego. And what we do is create a youth workforce pipeline through a bunch of different experiences. It's working with underrepresented youth from ages 10 through 22. So it starts with our free 2-week STEM summer day camp for girls that's run by women scientists for girls who are interested in science, where they get to actually try their hand at real science being done here at the national park. And then it moves on to the apprenticeship in the Leadership Academy, where youth ages 13 through 18 get to, again, continue doing real science with us and science communication projects through those years. And now we're in this workforce development pipeline where we have paid internships. This year we have 13 paid interns from the ages of 16 to 22. And they're doing all kinds of really amazing projects around San Diego County with the newest technology, all for the purpose of preserving and protecting our environment. So that's a little bit about me and Ecologic Institute. I could go on and on, but I'll leave it there.
So thanks, Sam. So you are going to get a chance in breakout rooms to pick one of these. You can either go to a breakout room and just have some chats about what the tools are that you saw, take some time to look through them, talk to other people in that room about things you're noticing. You could pop into a room with Jose and Rodrigo and learn more about the programs that Watsonville Wetlands Watch offers. You can pop in with Paulina and learn more about the 10 Strands California Youth Climate Policy Program, or you can go in with Sam and learn more about the Ecologic program. We do have a note catcher doc. So whatever room you're in, we're hoping that someone or all of you in your room will go into that document and share what you're learning and talking about. So that'll give a chance for everyone to hear about the programs and the tools, whether or not they choose to be in that room. And this is your chance to hear about those programs and to ask a lot of questions. Amity's going to open those breakout rooms. She put the names of them that you're self-selecting in the chat for you. And
that you can choose and move from room to room too during this if you're wanting to ask, meet with multiple groups. We're a pretty small group, but we're still going to try the breakout rooms and see how it goes. So you should be able to see that there's an opportunity to join. Oh, ignore the timer. I didn't know there was a timer on there. I forgot to look. We'll extend it. Of a lot of our partners are closer to the students than our COE staff are. They're working in the schools, they're partnering directly with teachers. And so building relationships with the community-based partners and seeing how you can support their work and amplify it, and also then be able to to build connections to those programs. So a COE maybe doesn't have the capacity to run a program like that, but you can be that connective tissue to bring the schools together with these amazing programs. And so that's what I'm trying to do. It's still work, but it's you know, and it can always be improved. But that's a strategy I would highly recommend. And hopefully you met some great partners that are making you think about who you could reach out to. We didn't get a chance to talk in Watsonville Wetlands Watch about how they connect so well too with the city agencies. So like they're partnering with the schools, but they're also partnering with the municipalities, and the county offices do that a lot too. So all those things can come together around sustainability. And with that, thank you all. I have to hop off, but Crystal and Julie and the rest of our team will wrap it up. And thanks for being here. Bye.
Thanks, Amity.
Amity.
And just to connect to that, if there's anything that you were like, oh my gosh, we talked about this thing in our room or this idea came up, I really want to make sure everybody hears it. This is your chance if you just want to pop off mute and share any of those highlights with us.
Yeah, I'm going to pick on Samantha. Samantha just put in chat, let's talk about it.
Oh yeah, so I was just basically saying in that room, we were chatting about how, teachers have so much on their plate, right? With, testing and look after their students, and then the learning gap, now that they're trying to work with after COVID and all of that, some of these things can be really overwhelming to them. It's like one more thing for them. But community-based partners like, my organization and some of the other organizations here, nonprofits and the like, can absolutely take the burden off of them, right? Like this is what we do. We're good at it. We're happy to do the legwork and do the planning. And so what I hope is that more and more, county offices of ed and school districts and individual teachers will start leaning into these community-based partners for that expertise. It just takes a moment of connection and kind of learning of how y'all can help each other, and then we can take it from there.
Thanks, Sam.
Anybody else?
Summer Bellany, on this note, Summer Bellany from Solano County Office of Education, my buddy over there, was sharing about a great community partnership and just, related to what Crystal was talking about being the connective tissue. So I'm going to put Summer on the spot. Would you mind kind of mentioning what we were talking about with that Conservation Corps program or whatever it was?
Yeah, thanks, Julie. Thank you, Samantha, for highlighting the connection with community partners and our role in doing that. In Solano County, we are kicking off year 3 of what we're calling the Explore Solano internship. It's a 5-week paid summer internship for youth age 16 to 19. So high school students or recently graduated. And they are connected with our CTE team as well. And this is funded through the Solano Workforce Development Board in connection with the Student Conservation Association, SCA, who's managing it. And it's a coalition of community partners who have come together to each plan different activities during the week, whether it's trail maintenance or remediation project. And then they're going to embed some work around workforce training, resume writing, interview prep. There's some tools for career exploration that students can explore. And so the field work is on Monday through Thursday, and then career exploration and mentorship and networking is on Fridays. And so it's a great effort that the community partners have put forth together collectively that neither of them, I don't think any individual could have done this on their own. So really benefits the students that everybody could come together and do this. And they get paid, and I think it's 28 to 30 hours. Don't quote me on that, but ish. So it's almost full-time, but not quite. Yeah, really great opportunity for the students and then it's also a great opportunity for the community partners who are looking to train up that next generation of students who might want to work in this space when they graduate. Yeah. Thanks, Julie.
That's awesome. Thank you. All right, so we are going to have Anthony take over and I will share my screen for you. Or do you want to share? Oh, wait, he's got it. Perfect.
Not a problem. All right. So again, thank you everybody for joining in today. And thank you for all those great quick reviews of what was going on in chat rooms. Here is the registration for next year's meeting. So we've got 5 meetings going into next year already scheduled, and you can see what it's going to look like. So September 4th, it's the welcome to the new academic year. And that September 4th one is really highlighting all our new folks. So we really would like to encourage all of you to try to see if you can find somebody brand new and bring them along with you. October 23rd, we've got conference sharing climate education. So if you haven't realized that October 23rd date is literally a week after the CASE conference. Then follow up by December 11th with a focus on early learning. February 12th, our community-based partners. And then April 30th, we hope to share some success stories and prepare for the 2026-2027 academic year. Any questions about meetings right now? So you can see it's 9 to 10:30, and these are going to be virtual as well. Okay. All right. Again, we want to thank all of our Innovation Hub members who help put on the series that you are watching now and participating in. And other than that, you can contact us at any time if you like. And then we really would love to get some gots and needs. So what did you get? Something that inspired you or is going to carry forward from today? And then as far as needs, what are some topics you would like for the COP to discuss next year or address, tackle, whatever lens you want to use for that needs? Feel free to capture those gots and needs. Is there a link or you want to put it in the chat box? Okay, and there'll be a link for that one in an email.
It's in the chat.
Oh, it's in the chat. Okay, so it's in the chat for you. So if you can go to that now, we'll take a few moments to do that right now. And just the last slide, if you're almost done finishing up, we'll just kind of end it here. But please sign up for the newsletter if you haven't done so. Feel free to take that link as well and share it within your networks. And let's see if we can get more people involved coming into next year. So with that, thank you very much, everybody.
And thank you for our partners who came and shared about their programs. You're so inspiring. We really appreciate it.